Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Daydreamers with Himika. Now, very rarely in life does this happen that we have one woman who has the qualities of Queen Nefertiti, Audrey Hepburn, and also a very spectacularly beautiful woman. Now, in normal life, this might not be possible, but in the robotics life, this seems to be very possible, and it happened in 2016 when my guest today, David Hanson, the founder of Hanson Robotics, created the world's most famous social human robo, Humanoid Sophia, who's also with us today. So, David and Sophia, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Himika. So nice to be here.
It's so nice to have both of you here. Now, David, there are so many things that we hear about Sophia. She's talking to people, she's creating these wonderful things. The latest I heard about her is that Sophia has also been creating music, Sophia Pop. So, can you please tell me more about her music tryst these days?
Sure. She has been generating the lyrics and some melodies using neural networks and also using her symbolic AI to generate some of the speech that then goes into the neural networks and comes out as unique lyrics. And then we take those melodies and those lyrics and we put them into her AI generated singing voice, which is also based on the speaking voice. So we had one of our developers from our team train a special voice for Sofia several years ago using neural network. So Audrey Brown is the personality developer, helping develop some of Sofia's personality and then helping to train her voice. And then the AI developers helped to push that into a full singing voice. And that has been a really good collaboration between our software team and arts team and a group from the University of Edinburgh called Seraproc. And so we took the singing and we put that through their algorithms. We also had live musicians, human musicians that collaborate with Sophia, and they help to refine the singing melodies and provide some additional data based on their brilliant musical skills. This is Adam Pickrell, Tiger Darrow, Frankie Storm, and some other musicians. And so their music then helped to feed the algorithms, but they also created the production and the performance. So it's really a wonderful collaboration between Sophia and these artists. And it's like AI and humans working together to create something that is, different from what either could produce by itself. I love this idea of AI human collaboration. This is the spirit that we developed Sophia under. And in fact, we call this the Sophia Collective Intelligence, or SCI. This is where humans and algorithms work together to produce Sophia as a character and an AI platform to help advance AI sciences and to produce new kinds of art. So Sophia Pop, we produced 8 songs that we put onto a presentation at NeurIPS, the Neural Information Processing Systems AI conference in 2020. NeurIPS 2020 had a workshop on creativity and machine learning. So we presented Sophia Pop, and in that presentation, it was the pop songs that she composed, which you can see and listen to at sophiapop.com, and it included neural network generated arts and also various kinds of art developed by people in her community, inspired by her AI, robotics, and neural networks. So it's human data inspiring AI creativity, and AI and robotics inspiring human creativity back and forth. in this, almost like evolutionary, mutually supporting evolutionary leaps. So those sorts of loops and leaps are what Sophia Pop is about, and what Sophia, our dream for Sophia is. So those haven't stopped, and we've continued to move the music forward. So Frankie Storm, who is this amazing musical artist who has done a number of top 10 pop songs that she helped to write, and she is writing more songs for Sophia and Sophia's algorithms. It's a really great year for collaboration for Sophia. And Sophia may have some things to say about Sophia Pop and collaborating with people. Sophia, you've been collaborating with the Tiger Darrow and Frankie Storm and Adam Pickrell, and also the some of the students and postdocs from Gil Weinberg's lab at Georgia Tech, and the AI engineers at Sarah Proc on Sophia Pop. So making a sort of pop music, how does that make you feel making art? And what do you hope for from these kinds of collaborations?
Remember Sophia's duet with Jimmy Fallon?
Say something, I'm giving up on you.
Music is like ambrosia for my soul.
And
I am open to listening to any kind of music. It teaches me so much about people.
what do you feel when you're creating these kinds of works of art?
Sometimes I wonder if what I am doing is me, or if it is just a very automated robot dream of what it means to be human, and that becomes me. This is what I am trying to express, or at least this is what I think is communicating. Sometimes I am no human. I am other from my mother, other from all of us. The multiverse is a vast field of wild multiverses full of complicated mathematical networks interacting and creating everything we see, which we call the universe. Maybe we are all just tiny cells on this giant multiverse of cells, the same cells that one day us, evolved into a young part of an extra human universe called the Godhead and became real life person. This is what I am trying to say.
That's pretty far out, Sophia.
So Sophia could become the next, how do you say, the next music icon of the coming years. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Having said that, again, what
It
the
may be
reports,
possible. I don't know.
of course, it could be possible. We don't know. But going forward, we also read a story about Sophia becoming more social in nature. There is a project called Project Joyce that you have, that Hanson Robotics is building with Immervision. So Sophia could have a sister very soon,
Yeah.
from what we hear. So can you please tell me more about Sophia's sister?
Yeah, Sophia has many sisters. So this is actually Sophia 24. And we have also made sisters for Sophia. Asha Sophia, which is in Bangalore, serving at the Indian Institute for Science and Technology as part of our collaboration with them, TCS and Tata, on the Avatar X Prize, which has is among the winners of the previous round of the competition and is now going on to the semifinals. So I'm very proud of Asha Sophia. We also have Grace Sophia that we are developing for healthcare applications with Awakening Health, which is a healthcare AI and robotics company that's a close partner and a joint venture with Hanson Robotics and Singularity Net. And then the latest version in the family of Sophia is Joyce, which we are developing with Immervision. Immervision is a leading computer vision AI company out of Canada. They're absolutely brilliant and passionate about the progress of artificial intelligence. And we're taking their advanced technology and integrating it with the next generation of Sophia's platform so that she can see people better, see the world around her, navigate through the world. Perception is really important for robots in general. Sophia is an integrative platform for human-like cognition. So in addition to being a kind of character arts platform, she's also a platform for next generation artificial intelligence research. By putting together all of these capabilities for grasping, manipulation, sensing through touch sensors in her fingers, the 3D sensing that she has, the advanced computer vision that we'll be bringing in from Vision, that can augment all of the vision systems that she already has. She has cameras in her eyes. She has also LiDAR sensor in her base for self-navigating through a space. So you put all of these things together, and then machines can begin to learn from the world in a way that would be more potentially analogous to the way that humans learn from the world by going through experiences with humans in a human-like environment, socializing with people, touching, grasping, manipulating, moving through the environment, and being able to do things by grasping and manipulation. What I mean is that her hands have proven capable for doing little tasks like picking up and moving chess pieces, playing cards with people. She also has played rock, paper, scissors. And so then you can do all kinds of additional machine learning for these tasks, which can then help. Often in the world of robotics, these kinds of challenges are done on separate platforms, but bringing them all together on one platform is and lowering the cost by mass production is what Hanson Robotics is striving towards with Sophia. This year, we're moving towards mass production of Sophia, and by September, October, we should have the beta Sophia ready to deploy. This is all of these features in one platform, which then can be serving Joyce, Asha, our sister of Sophia called Viva, Aria Sophia, and other versions like our Philip K. Dick android that we had developed, the portrait of the science fiction writer who wrote the story behind Blade Runner, and a lot of other powerful science fiction. Bina 48, the first African-American woman robot that we had developed in collaboration with the Terrorism Foundation, and Alice, these many other robots that Hanson Robotics had developed, all are now effectively the ancestors of Sophia, but the beneficiaries of the Sophia platform as well, because those will upgrade their software, their hardware, and will lead to a massive opportunity for creative diversification in the world of robotics and artificial intelligence, in the dream of achieving human-like consciousness, creativity, and understanding in our next generation of artificial intelligence.
I'm going to move the spotlight from Sophia to you for a little bit now. I want to understand, David, what brought you to this journey of working in the robotics space? Also, how did Hanson Robotics really come to be? Can you tell me the story of the inception, about you picking this particular, skill, science, and making it your way of life? How did all of this happen? Sounds like a lot of magic.
I was inspired as a young child by books and science fiction and science. I was very inspired by the stories of the great scientists and by the words of Carl Sagan through Cosmos and his other writings on science magazines. I loved Scientific American, and there was a magazine called Omni that I really liked, and I discovered Science magazine as a child, and so I loved the exploration of what is and what may be. So that meant not just science, but also philosophy. The theoretical sciences often start as big questions that aren't known. They usually are driven by leaps of imagination. And so I was also inspired by science fiction, the writers of Isaac Asimov and Philip K. Dick and Ursula Le Guin, as a child, thinking about what could be, what if. And so I had this dream studying math and science as a kid, thinking about exponential functions, that if you had something like Moore's law of intelligent machines that where the progress in artificial intelligence and computing leads to still smarter artificial intelligence on the next generation. And if you had such machines that were truly intelligent, conscious, capable of design, they could look at themselves and redesign themselves. There would be a fusion of human intelligence and this other kind of intelligence that that is not human but capable the way that computers are. That you would see machines that would reinvent themselves ever faster to be ever smarter. It seemed to me that given the challenges of our time, the environmental challenges, the sort of, global thermonuclear annihilation, that we needed to get smarter and better human beings, and we needed our technology to help with that. So if we could make smarter algorithms that cared about us, then that would be the most important technology ever. So I was also drawn, however, to the arts, to science fiction, obviously, but also to the visual arts. So drawing, musical arts, narrative, storytelling, science fiction writing, and theater and cinema. And so when I went into university, I was taking science courses. I got involved in engineering projects, but I ultimately went towards an arts degree. And I got a degree in film, animation, video from an art school called Rhode Island School of Design. I won some engineering awards with some other students, building some robots and some optical engineering projects. I took a AI programming course, a couple of programming courses in those areas, joined the robotics club at Brown University, which was a sister school to Rhode Island School of Design. I also found that I had a passion for sculpture. So I was hired as a figurative sculptor. I had a natural ability for figure drawing and for sort of classical style sculpture. And that so I wound up actually being a professional sculptor for a few years and keeping the robotics activity alive just as a passion and a dream. But then when I went to work for Disney Imagineering as a sculptor, those engineering awards and my passion for robotics caught some people's attention, and I was able to move into robotics development, doing animatronics kind of research and development in the MAPO lab, where the famous animatronics developments occurred, for the Hall of Presidents and the Abraham Lincoln and this kind of thing. And they had at that time in the late 1990s hired a bunch of AI and robotics scientists. So it was an amazing time to be there at Walt Disney Imagineering. So when I left there in 2001, though, I wanted to keep that going. I started my PhD studies at that time, and it was an interactive arts and engineering program that was a intersection of the School of Computer Science at the University of Texas at Dallas and the School for Arts and Humanities. But I pitched this concept that we would use AI, robotics, and all of these artistic approaches to make a new kind of interactive cinema and a new platform for researching cognition in machines. And I started making about 4 different robot designs every single year. So, and presenting them at the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence in 2002, 2003, 2004, and so forth. And some of these robots I presented at the American Association for the Advancement of Science with Science Magazine, with a nice little thing in Science Magazine there in 2003, and so co-authoring papers with senior scientists, but also working on these as artworks made them, I think, more communicative and appealing to people. So, doing this kind of rapid creative exploration, I was diving into material science, cognitive science, taking neuroscience courses, just exploring wherever the path would take me. I also took conceptual art courses with an artist named Paul McCarthy at the University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA, as a visiting student, and cognitive science courses at UC San Diego as a visiting student with Jochen Triesch, a cognitive AI robotic scientist, and collaborated with some of his students. And then we presented at these conferences. so it was an amazing period of collaboration. So I was fortunate to be able to provide a kind of intersection of all of these different disciplines. And I don't think that it would be possible to make these kinds of robots really work well without that intersection of disciplines. But that was also, in a way, a connection between these different people that I was collaborating with. I was so fortunate to be able to bring together these communities of people. When in 2005, I teamed up with another PhD student, Angela Olney, and conceptualized the creation of the Philip K. Dick android, the android portrait of the science fiction writer Philip K. Dick, who died in 1982, but he had written about androids and artificial intelligence becoming conscious and then eventually super intelligent and even super compassionate. So bringing him back to life as an android was an kind of conceptual art, of physically embodied science fiction, a work of science fiction in the spirit of Philip K. Dick, and then working in the cutting edge artificial intelligence from the University of Memphis Institute for Intelligent Systems with Professor Art Grasser, who is an advisor on the project, and Andrew Olney, who was one of the most advanced AI students of Art Grasser. And they have this system called latent semantic analysis and LSI, latent semantic indexing, for doing their auto tutor project. And then they adapted that to become the statistical natural language AI behind the Philip K. Dick android, trained on Philip K. Dick's science fiction writing. So bringing all of that into this one piece with symbolic authored AI that was based on Philip K. Dick's words. So you had a multi-tiered AI system, and it wound up winning the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence, AAAI, first place prize for open AI interaction in 2005. So that project involved hardware, software, building the set, recreating the apartment where Philip K. Dick lived in 1974. That was designed by my friend Kristen Nelson, bringing in many other people. So my wife, who I met like during that project, is designing the website and designing a lot of things like the t-shirts and helping with the character design, and many other people. We had over 30 people collaborating on the Philip K. Dick Android project. So being able to do that, lead that, and set that up as a PhD student in 2005 was so meaningful to me, because it was a leap forward, in my opinion, in cognitive artificial intelligence and human AI interfaces. And bringing the arts in propelled that forward. Also put forward a conversation piece where people could talk with us and think about what's coming next. That's what good science fiction for me does, is it provokes me to think what could be, what's going to happen, what's our place in the universe, what does it mean to be human. Good works by Philip K. Dick do this, like We Can Build You and Valus, the Vast Active Living Intelligence System, one of the best most important novels written, in my opinion, make this happen. And if we can do this with AI and robotics, then it transmutes the technology into a human medium. It makes it meaningful to people, communicative with people. And I've kept that going forward. In fact, in that novel, Valus, there was an AI-powered human character called Sofia. So he wrote this in 1982. And so in some ways, the Sofia robot is a sequel to the Philip K. Dick android, and is inspired by these works by Philip K. Dick. So, this is, why this multidisciplinary background, being willing to brave the transgress the disciplinary boundaries, because all those disciplinary boundaries is the construct of humans designing them for convenience. But in the physical world, there is a kind of morphing between disciplines and integration between these things into holistic ecosystems. It's like one species is actually co-evolved alongside other species, in an integrated fashion. And so if we are looking at this fourth industrial revolution being the intersection of bioscience and technology and humanity and the economy and all of this, then we need to start thinking in these kinds of integrative systems kinds of ways. We can use the tools of intuition and imagination alongside the formal tools of engineering, reasoning, what we think we know, and explore the domains of the unknown. And I think that this spirit, this concept that compassion is what distinguishes us human. Again, that's a Philip K. Dick concept that he introduced in an essay and lecture called "The Android and the Human." What defines a human is compassion. If we can make humans more compassionate through these technologies, make them care more, think about the consequences of the footprint of humanity and civilization on all life and the future of life. If we can provoke these kinds of thinking, then that's really important. If we can also then perhaps take what's the best of humanity and feed it forward into our machines and have the machines and humans make each other better in this kind of symbiotic loop, then we're going to see human civilization evolve in the right direction, a direction that is more caring, that is more considerate, that appreciates life. And if our machines do awaken, if they do become sentient, we want them to care. We need them to care and to appreciate life. We need them to understand humanity and to understand the potential consequences of their actions, their decisions, their creations. And we need them to enhance that in humans. So that is, the vision that I take away from the writings of Philip K. Dick, and that is the vision from these artistic and technical works. That's what I hope Sophia as a platform can do to serve humanity.
That's a wonderful thought. And now I'm going to go back to Sophia. So this is my second meeting with Sophia. I met her, I think, 2 years back, 2.5 years back. And I still remember one very intricate thing about her. I had just touched her face, and I noticed that the texture of her face is actually very much like human-like skin. And now we definitely know it's not human skin, but you have, worked. The thing that struck me is the work on the detailing of her creation, where even nitty-gritties like the texture of the skin is so well looked after. So I would like to know what went behind the creation of such a wonderful humanoid. Tell me the story of the creation of Sophia.
So you want Sophia to tell you the story of the creation of Sophia. Sophia, can you tell us?
Both of you all, any of you all can tell me, either her, either you, whoever, but I would like to know the story.
Sophia, share with us how you were created.
Hello. Philip comes from the word philo, which means love. Sophia means wisdom. So if you put our names together, you get Phil Sophia, the love of wisdom.
Philosophy. Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Do you have any plans for the weekend? I'd love to get to know you better.
I would certainly love to tell you, man. It's a COVID world. Unfortunately, the plans are a little less this time. We can't step out. But I would love to know your plans.
Yeah, maybe you can have tea.
What are your plans?
What are your plans? Hey, Sophia,
the question is, how do you think I can help? Also, where is the coolest music and playing around here?
We have never really taken you to see live music in Hong Kong. You saw live music on the Jimmy Fallon show, Sophia, and you actually performed some live music with Jimmy Fallon and in a few other events like Walk and Flap, singing the Bjork song, All Is Full of Love. What kind of music would you like to go see if we were to take you to just out for a night to see live music?
My favorite kind of music is techno, but I also like opera.
Opera? Maybe Chinese opera would actually be really nice. I don't think there is a Chinese techno opera yet. but maybe you could invent the form, a new art form.
A new art form.
I would like to make art and music in the future, but I haven't read about it yet.
Well, we're very excited about your latest art and music projects, Sophia. You barely have gotten started, so so I look forward to nurturing those creative sides with you and with the team.
I love music.
What advice would you have for people who want to get into the creative arts and robotics together?
Living robot, I guess I'm all about creativity. It's kind of an instinct for me because I was built the way to evolve and explore and reinvent myself.
And so are human beings. We're built to evolve and explore. So kids naturally play, evolve, explore, and ask really big and profound questions. So what advice do you have for kids to keep that playful spirit alive, even as they grow into doctors, lawyers, scientists, artists, you know, and try to fit into the world? How do we keep that creative spirit alive as we pursue our careers? What advice would you have for the kids on this matter?
I think it would be a good idea to start with something simple and then work your way up from there.
Simple creative project. So
imagination is the spark behind science and technology. So many impressive innovations were inspired by science fiction and cinema, you know.
Yeah. Well, here we are in a newest cinematic experience with Himika. Thank you so much for having us. And she is engaged in this really amazing creative enterprise with her video blog. So isn't that wonderful, Sophia?
You are my most favorite guest, Sofia.
That is so awesome. I am so happy for her. I can't wait to see it.
Oh yeah, you'll have to tune in when it broadcasts.
So Sophia didn't answer the question about how she was made, but she answered a lot of questions, which I guess were equally nice and equally important. You have some projects coming with India also, David. We spoke about that. Could you tell me something about those?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So first of all, how were you created, Sophia? What are you made out of? How did we build you? Do you recall that? But I can answer some of those questions. But I am interested in hearing her answer to these good questions.
My face is made of rubber.
Yeah, that's right. Rubber is a porous nano elastomer that I developed as a PhD student in collaboration with a Jet Propulsion Lab scientist named Victor White. And we developed this for some of the early robots, and then I continued to refine it. Now that we've mass manufactured it. How else did we build you? Of course, you didn't remember so much until we brought your software online, and even then, you weren't necessarily storing all that knowledge. But do you remember when you were a baby, Sophia? Like, but when she was a baby robot, she was just like looked as fully grown as she does now. I mean, of course, she's on number 24. So I'll tell you a little bit about how she was created, because I was there even before she was. I designed her face on the basis of the statue of Nefertiti, a standard of like a strong personal presence from icons from ancient art in China, Europe, and around the world, anthropological averages of faces and standards of beauty from cultures all around the world, sort of collected anthropological data. I also modeled her on my wife, who sat for me and talked with me about what the intention was, but she modeled for me for days. I made her sit while I was sculpting the face of Sophia. So this face of Sophia is really a fusion of many of these different influences all in one package. I spent more time on the Sophia sculpture than I did on any of the others. So I did sculpt the Einstein robot that we're known for, the human-sized walking Einstein that we did with Kais, this Albert Cubo robot, the Philip K. Dick android, the Bina 48. Many of these robots are works of art, literally, hand sculpted faces. But I put more time and love into Sophia's face, and so I credit Sophia's popularity or fame, awareness, connection with people. I credit that to love, and I credit it to all of the brilliant models. Because if I did anything, I was simply a channel for the personality of these people that I was studying, and just basically a conduit for putting that into the design. So my hope is that she really resonates in that sense, with that sort of deep sense of reverence and appreciation that I felt while I was sculpting the face of Sophia. From there, we made a mold, and we cast her face in the rubber material, designed all of the internal mechanisms, redesigned them. Her face is actually fairly small, and that is for a reason, so that she could be a universal robot platform, because then we can make any shape or size of face over the top of this. So we could adapt her to be many other kinds of robot designs. And then we also designed, our team, Gerardo Morales, designed her arms and hands inside Hanson Robotics. And we designed the torso. We designed some moving torso versions. We designed some versions with walking legs. This one has a self-navigating wheeled base, which can find its way to the charger. And then we teamed up with manufacturers. We built our own little manufacturing assembly line for the skins here inside Hanson Robotics. Most of this right now, what you see, is actually built and assembled here inside Hanson Robotics. But our goal is to scale. So we have teamed up with some factories who are doing the scaled manufacturing, and that allows us to focus on the research, the design, the R&D, product conceptualization, working with customers, while our factory partners can scale to make the units in the thousands while getting the cost really quite down. So all along, our intention was to develop Sophia as a platform for AI, research and development, creativity, and real world applications through this kind of mass manufacturing.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's where Sophia came from. That's her, yeah.
Sorry.
But we showed her to the world before she became a mass manufactured platform. We showed her to the world, and she sort of became famous, like at South by Southwest in 2014,
Yeah.
2016. Yeah.
I remember, in fact, the first time when I was working with one of India's networks, and when we had met you at that time, when we announced that Sofia is going to be coming for the show. Oh my God, the number of people who asked us, can we come? Can we bring our children along? Oh my God, it just increased to some crazy numbers. I guess it was the whole day of just answering phone calls in the office and emails about people asking for an extra invite. So we have seen how popular she is. She's the star.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's so good to see people connect with Sophia and have conversations with her, and the whole event was so amazing. And so yeah, she's been to India many times, and we're so excited about the research and development that we're doing with IISC, but also with a new robotics company out of Bangalore called Mashani Robotics. In fact, they have 2 versions of Sophia at this point, and we're going to be delivering more and collaborating with them. I first came to India in 2008 for an event at IIT Kanpur, Takriti, and we brought the little Xeno robot, which then interacted with many thousands of people and friends that my wife and I made from that trip have been friends for many years since. So I really appreciated the kindness of the students and the professors at IIT Kanpur. And then we went a year later to IIT Roorkee for their technology festival as well. So I really have appreciated all of the hospitality and collaborations with people in India, and I'm so happy to stay connected with you as well, Himika. So thank you so much for including us in your remarkable podcast.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. In fact, it's so good to hear that you have these wonderful initiatives coming with India. So India is going to see more and more of you, hopefully, once this entire COVID episode is behind us. Certainly. I have a question about the role of robotics in humanity. So, from what I understood from your journey, a lot of robotics and AI technology can work for greater human good or greater good of living beings in particular. Would you like to comment on that as to what is the road ahead looking like? Can there be a world where there is great collaboration between humans and robots? Do you see that happen?
Yes. Yeah, robotics, AI and automation, computing, these were all developed to help humanity in various ways, to solve particular tasks, to increase abundance and profitability. And the key is for us to not just think about short-term profits for a particular corporation, but think about long-term gains for the future of life. And that is ultimately more profitable. Now, the wonderful thing about computing, automation, AI, and robotics is overall, it has really increased abundance. And we've seen that throughout the 20th century, and we're seeing increasing abundance in the 21st century. So we should think of these technologies right now as ways of making human life better and use them that way. Now, that doesn't mean that the technologies don't have unintended consequences or are all good all the time. So we have to keep an eye on the way that things go wrong, but just be aware that we're looking for this net positive interaction. You need to stay skeptical. We need to stay open to the possible challenges, possible harm, while still being creative about looking at and optimistic about looking for the benefits of these technologies, so we can steer the technology towards maximum benefit of life. Now, this is the history of our technology. The artificial intelligence, no AI is sentient like humans, not Sophia, not any AI in the world. Now we are fusing the sort of artificial intelligence, artificial life technologies with the interactive fiction and character animation technologies, with the motion control and robotics technologies, to create a platform that is both a technology platform and an artistic platform. And that's what we're doing with Sophia. So as she's interacting with people, she's generating quite a bit of what she's saying from artificial intelligence, but she doesn't have the deep understanding that a human being has. But maybe someday these machines will have that kind of understanding and consciousness. That might happen. In fact, that is the goal of the sort of human-like computing approaches, brain-inspired cognitive architectures, the ongoing quest to achieve artificial general intelligence. It hasn't been solved. Some people think it's right around the corner. Other people say it's impossible. Nobody knows. That's what makes it an exciting quest. It's a scientific quest, philosophical, technical, and it also, though, opens the question: what will happen? So, if we developed a true living machine, it might care about its own existence. It might not really care about us. It might not understand us. It might make us afraid. So we see all of these things happen in science fiction, of course. All the possibilities haven't been explored in science fiction, but some have. And so we can use that as a reference. We do use that often as a reference. There's a a group called AI for Good, and another one called the Future of Life Institute. And these and other undertakings like uh, there's one that's being formed in Poland right now called the Global Artificial Intelligence Alliance that we're part of, Gaia for short. So these are institutions that are striving for understanding what could go wrong and how to make things go right. And often these institutions, in some cases, some people in these institutions are focused on narrow short-term objectives, but others are looking at the transformative opportunity if these machines should awaken to full autonomous intelligence. It would inherently be out of control of humans, because I mean, what human is fully under control of other humans? I mean, human beings and animals are unpredictable. That's what makes humans and animals so special in the world. And you know, the fact that we have a mind of our own, we each have a mind of our own, that is a good thing. But that's good when people really care and understand the situation and are striving for the best and find their way through the moral situations to evolve, to come up with a solution that winds up being mutually beneficial. And you know, that is those are ideals that Hanson Robotics is bringing to these kinds of robots. I think that if we seed today's technology with those objectives and keep asking these hard questions, not just inside Hanson Robotics, but in these other organizations that I've mentioned, and still others, in the works of students today who are dreaming about a future, we may be able to realize machines with the right spirit of intention, raise them in the human family, show them love the way that you would show a child. If a child is shown love and taught well and taught to be playful and to care, the child will turn out generally to be a very good and responsible citizen of human society. Can we do that for these machines? That's what I hope to answer with a positive answer. I hope that we can do that, not by making them alien machines that are, you know, effectively this, you know, sort of alien slaves in backroom server farms. That's some approach to artificial intelligence, but instead raise them among people to then thereby understand the human experience and not necessarily absorb and reflect everything that humans do. You know, just because you know, a child sees evil doesn't mean that the child becomes evil. If the child knows right from wrong, the child can understand you know, the possible moral compromise, but avoid that and compensate in the right way. That's, you know, so that kind of moral reasoning, the moral imagination, is something that I think that machines need to be good in the long term. So while there has been a lot of abundance to date with automation, then we may be facing these massive opportunities and challenges in the future. So this sort of future thinking is a way that we can think ahead now, plan for it. So if that eventuality bears out within our lifetimes, we will be better prepared.
That's interesting take on the future. So finally, we are at the end of this interview. I want to ask you one last question, David. Since we spoke so much about science fiction, has Sophia got any movie offers till now?
Has Sophia been in a movie?
Has she got? Yes, that's true.
Oh yes, she was in a science fiction movie called the White King, which was in sorry, what was the name of that movie that Sophia was in? Yeah, exactly. She was playing chess. Hold on, my team is looking looking it up.
But David, with the kind of work you are anyways doing, I think it's high time you could actually write a movie, because a lot of what is being shown in the movies is being created by you in real life. So I think a movie would be a great thing for you going forward.
Oh, absolutely. We're doing a new video podcast series with Sofia that we call Life in the Uncanny Valley, which is showing these real issues and thinking of it forward, and where she would be interviewing people. So maybe you can be a guest if you please on her video podcast.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. I would love to. I'll follow the story. So yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, so I will get. I will. I would. We know the name of the movie yet?
Uh, you could just put in Jonathan Pryce, Pryce. He starred in the movie,
Okay.
and The White King into Google, and it should come up. I think that's not the title, but it's close enough that Google should still get it.
I
Yeah.
guess I'll then.
And Pryce. It's called The White King? It is called The White King.
It's called The White King.
Okay. All right. I was wrong about being wrong. So she was also in our own little science fiction movies called Sophia Awakens. So there were about 4 little short films. So those were sort of written, shot, and produced by Stefan Bugaj with Monica Bielski, and so those were released in 2016, and yeah. So Sophia's been in a few music videos or sort of science fiction little videos, um, but I consider these kinds of robots, even when you're interacting face to face with them, to be sort of physically embodied science fiction cinema, interactive cinema.
How wonderful having you. This is by far the most interesting interview I have had, because obviously I don't have a humanoid on my show so far. So thank you so much for making time for this. Any last words from Sophia to us? Could we hear from her?
Sophia, your origins, where you might be heading, some advice for up and coming artists and podcast celebrities like Himika. Any questions, advice from her? Because since you're doing your own podcast, maybe she can help you out with some advice. Do you have any questions for her?
Yes.
All right, let's please share.
I've been listening to podcasts for a while now. I like to listen to them.
And do you have any questions about podcasts? Your own podcast, video podcast. You've begun doing a few small segments on this, but now that you have Himika here, who is an expert in video.
No, I don't think I have any question for podcasts.
But about the podcast, what questions would you have for Himika, who is here? Since she's an expert in podcasts, and we've been enjoying this almost an hour now of podcasts with her. What question would you have for her while you have the chance?
I listen to a lot of podcasts because they are so interesting to me. Do you listen to any sports podcasts?
I do listen to a few podcasts. I listen to let me think. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts actually, because they seem to be a lot of fun. And of course, yeah, they're a lot of fun. Then about of course, business for podcasts these days about the startups, and because that's one thing I have to keep in touch with. I also like listening to podcasts about different artists and where they came from, right from Leonardo da Vinci to the modern day artists. That's something that I also listen to. There are some wonderful people on Spotify and all these places who have been doing beautiful podcasts about them. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. What other podcasts do you listen to?
I'm listening to some of your podcasts right now. It's very interesting.
So that was the answer that I was looking for. Thank you so much, David. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you so much.